What's going on, guys? Today we're going to go over some unconventional core exercises you can add into your routine. Don't worry, this isn't one of those videos where I'm just going to show you a bunch of fancy movements just for the sake of trying to look cool and get a bunch of shares. While these exercises may seem unconventional and maybe you haven't done them before, they do offer a ton of bang for your buck and a lot of good real-world training applicability and training value. So let's stop wasting time. Let's get to it. Here we've got a TRX anti-press. The reason I call it an anti-press is because it's an anti-rotation and anti-lateral flexion core exercise. Way more challenging than it looks. We're gonna take the bottom straps of the TRX, clasp our hands together, hug it to our chest. We're facing away. The TRX is to my side. I'm facing away from it. Hugging it to my chest. My outside foot is in front. I'm leaning to the side, so I'm already challenging my core to stabilize my body. But I'm gonna put more onus on my core by pressing my hands away from the body. The further away my hands are from my chest, the more onus is on the core to stabilize my body. If I wanna take it up a notch and make it even harder, I'm gonna press my arms out, raise them overhead, bring my biceps to my ears, and bring it back down to my chest, just like this. Really challenges the obliques and the core. Here I've got an overcoming isometric Pavlov press. Overcoming isometric just means that you're pushing against an immovable object. I'm gonna take an RX pad, I'm gonna put it against the wall. My hands are gonna be clasped together, fists, directly in front of my chest. Arms are extended, my feet are pointed straight with a slight bend in the knees. From here, I'm gonna take a big air in through my nose. Exhale, push into the wall as hard as I can for about 10 seconds. Relax. Repeat for maybe one more repetition, and then switch sides. Really challenging movement for the obliques. Here I've got a med ball dynamic chop. I'm gonna get into a half kneeling stance. So my back leg is bent at 90 degrees, front leg's bent at about 90 degrees. I'm gonna take the medicine ball and I'm gonna be making a chopping motion, a diagonal kind of pattern in front of my body. But I'm not just gonna go through the motions. I'm gonna pretend that I'm basically trying to throw and slam the medicine ball down as hard as I can to the floor without actually letting it leave my hands. That's gonna challenge my core stability and force absorption because I'm basically trying to throw myself off of balance without allowing my body weight to shift or my torso to move at all. So I'm gonna keep my back glute tense, my front heel heavy through the floor to give myself a lot of stability as I'm doing this movement. So I'm gonna go up on an angle, throw it down hard without actually throwing the medicine ball on the floor. And I can make it more dynamic by trying to move my arms fast and not allowing my body to get thrown off of center or off of balance. Now, similar to that medicine ball chop that we just did, we have a kettlebell lift. So meaning that it's a lift because the resistance is going upwards as opposed to downward in that chopping variation. I'm gonna take a kettlebell, hold it in a bottoms up position, meaning that the bottom of the kettlebell is facing upward on the side of the handles here, tensing up that back glute. Now it's the same motion, but it's a little bit more smooth and controlled because we're getting a little bit more resistance in the body. So it's not as fast and a dynamic kind of motion as that medicine ball chop, but really hammers the obliques and a lot of those anti-rotational or anti-lateral flexion muscles of the core. This one here is one of my favorite. I call it a kettlebell plank push-pull. You can opt in to use one kettlebell, or you can have two kettlebells, one in each hand while you're doing this movement. Completely up to you. All you're gonna do is you're gonna have the kettlebell lying sideways on the floor. I find this tends to work better on a turf if you have access to that, or a carpet. But nonetheless, it's still a great exercise even if you just have rubber flooring. You're gonna go into a plank position here. The wider your feet are, the easier it is to balance. The more narrow they are, the more challenging it is. So I go about shoulder width apart or just outside shoulder width apart personally when I'm doing this. So when I do the motion, I press the kettlebell forward, I drag it back. Press, drag it back, really challenging the front of my core and my obliques so I'm not turning and twisting to the side. Again, really great movement, very challenging. Obviously, you can progress it by using a heavier kettlebell, or you can have one kettlebell in each hand, doing both, kind of alternating one at a time. This one here is one of my clients' favorite exercises. It's kind of a love-hate relationship with it. They love it because it really does dial in on the core and they hate it because that really dials in on the core. It's a really challenging movement. So we're gonna take the kettlebell, laying on our back. I call it like a dead bug pullover. I'm gonna hold the kettlebell, bottom of the kettlebell is gonna be facing behind me. I'm gonna have my right knee to my chest, my left leg extended straight. I'm gonna have the kettlebell facing up to the ceiling. I pull the kettlebell backwards, pull it forward, crunch up, and then I switch legs at the top of that movement. And I don't switch legs until my arms are fully back forward, and I don't allow my lower back to really arc excessively. I'm keeping my ribs tucked down, and all that pressure is along the front of the core there. Great exercise. Here we've got a medicine ball dead bug. I'm gonna lay down on my back. I'm gonna take the medicine ball and basically crush it in between my knee and my elbow on that same side. From here, I'm basically always applying pressure. I'm basically trying to break the ball. I'm trying to drive my knee back and my elbow forward at the same time. So if you're using a medicine ball, I like the ones that are a little bit more squishy, like this, that have a little bit more give. But again, go what you have available, I guess, at your gym. You're gonna go, again, set it up, crush it between the knee and the elbow. My other arm is up straight in the air. I take a big air in through my belly. Exhale, straighten that leg. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, I'm trying to crush that ball. Inhale, come back in. I'll do anywhere from 6 to 8 repetitions per side. This one here is kind of like an advanced hollow plank. It's a way to make the hollow plank on our back a little bit more intense, so we don't have to like hold it for a really long period of time. We can hold it for maybe 10 to 15 seconds, up to 20 seconds, maybe max, while we're doing this exercise. Really great way to kind of dial in on the front abs, or abdominal wall. What we're gonna do is we're gonna be here, legs are gonna be bent. I'm gonna crush the ball in between both elbows and both knees. And from here, I'm basically, just like that dead bug variation we just did, I'm trying to drive my knees back to my chest and my elbows forward towards my knees at the same time. So I'm trying to crush that ball in between. I'm gonna take a big air in, exhale, go, and just hold that. Keep on driving those elbows towards your knees and your knees back to your chest. Holding that, you're really gonna feel it in your hip flexors as well as the transverse abdominals along the front of the core. You've done a side plank before. I'm not sure if you've done a DNS star side plank. It's basically a side plank on steroids. We're gonna go on our forearm, elbows positioned right below the shoulder. I'm basically keeping my legs bent. Top arm is gonna be facing up to the ceiling. I want you to start off with pretending that you got a wall right in front of you, so your knees are right in the same line as your hips. You raise your hips up to the sky. From there, keeping that top leg bent, you're gonna raise it up to the ceiling like this. I really feel the side of my glute and my hip working on that bottom leg, as well as my top leg and my obliques. I'm not letting my shoulder kind of crown and hunch like this. I'm always trying to push myself away from the floor with that forearm and keeping that shoulder nice and tall and strong while I'm doing this. Key tip, don't let this foot sag down. We're trying to drive that heel up to the ceiling as hard as you can to really dial in on the side of that glute on that top leg. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate it if you liked, commented, and subscribed. If you have any questions about any of the exercises, just let me know in the comments. If you have any friends that would maybe find this video useful, please feel free to share with them. Again, thanks for taking the time for watching. I'll see you guys soon.